Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ka Fateh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an exciting show. Previously, we've done seasons for Speak Spectrum, and we're back with a new season of Seek Spectrum. And one of the objectives of the show is to bring to the audience some lovely people who can inspire us, tell us about their life, and hopefully give us a message for hope for youth, as well as other people that are out there that are thinking about doing different things with their lives. But it's great to get an insight into how they've grown up, what inspires them today, and also, in many cases, how successful they are. Now, without further ado, a very successful person, I'm introducing her as Lady Singh. She happens to be the wife of Lord Inderjit Singh, but she's a fantastic person in her absolute right. Dr. Kanwaljit Kaur, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ka Fateh.
And you're also, you do so many things. And one of the things that I was very I looked at, some of the things that you've done. You've done everything from introducing Sikhism into the syllabus in the early days when it wasn't being taught at all. Yeah. You've done fantastic things for women in terms of women's health. And also, when did you get your OBE?
I think it was 2011. That was for my services to education and interfaith dialogue. I've been in education since I've arrived in this country. Actually, I can't remember a day when I wasn't in education, right from childhood.
You were a teacher once as well, weren't you?
Yes, yeah. Right from childhood, I was in school, in education, then I went to university, did my MA, did my PhD, and came here. When I was brought up in a household where education was very important.
Tell us about your early life in terms of with your father and your mother.
Right. My father was very keen on education. He was one of the first people who did BA from Lahore University, and he had this promise made to all his children that they've got to do their MA, masters or engineering or medicine or whatever. Only then he will make sure that they are all married and happily settled. Now, my father was the first secretary of Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee. He was a young man when there was a morcha, Guru Ka Bagh morcha, and he saw Sikhs being beaten up, and he was very upset at that. He says, I'm not going to work for this government. He was selected for ICS. In those days, Britishers will choose people for IAS and ICS, and he refused to join that. And Akalis needed educated people to come and write letters to the government, because in Urdu and all, it never reached the senior people. And correspondence was very important in those days, asking for managing their own gurdwaras and all. So he was kept very, very busy. And because he was so busy there, his brothers, who had a roaring business in cloth merchants, wouldn't give him any share. He says, you never work here. So he told me it was 18 rupees monthly pay. He started with Shiromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee.
So do you think he's like one of the founders to help set that up in terms of
that's right. There were lots of other Akali leaders, but he was the one when the 1984 attack on the Golden Temple, and the first thing he said was that Shiromani Committee was built. He used to go and supervise every single brick. So there is not a single damaged brick is used there. And the government even couldn't destroy that. It's so strongly built. He was into Sikhism all the time. He was the one who was said all the time that the moment Shiromani Committee is taken by the government people, Sikhism is finished. And so he stayed there right till 1962, till he retired. He wouldn't let any influence of non-Sikh come into it, or any government influence come into this. Remember when he retired, Master Tara Singh, instead of putting garland on him, put it on his neck and said, he goes, who's going to let me stay here? So he was the brainchild behind the Rath Maryada, because he thought there were lots of Deras and lots of sons and Babas who are having their own Rath Maryadas. And unless we have one single Sikh, central Sikh teachings, according to the teaching, the Maryada will be lost. We'll be going back to Hinduism, going back into other religions.
Was he quite interested in Sikh history?
Pardon?
Himself, was he quite...
Yeah, he was. Actually, his BA was in history and English. And so the first Radha that was published was under his name, Harnaam Singh. So I have seen the whole politics, Sikh politics, right from the beginning. Master Tara Singh, Hukam Singh, who was a speaker, all those people, sometimes when they wanted a quiet place, they would come to our house to have meetings, and I was there listening to them, serving tea and all.
So to interrupt you for a second, when Master Tara Singh, you know, he effectively had put some trust in Nehru at the time. This is well documented. And then Nehru had later on and said things have changed. There was I mean, a lot of the betrayal that we read in our history books is around people trusting each other, and then maybe suddenly the trust disappears.
Yeah, it's one thing, trust as well, but that's not the only reason.
Yeah, I don't mean trust from our part. We trust other people.
We trusted them. That's right. But there was another reason. What the government has said was that wherever the Sikh population is in majority, that can be taken by the Sikhs. And the majority were 2 villages near Hoshiarpur. We became Sikhs, but in majority in Punjab only after partition. So because we were so spread out, that there wasn't any area that we could say that this is our area, then that we should have independence.
Do you ever think sometimes, I mean, on a side point, you know, you think that, you know, that India and Pakistan were united for so many, you know, years. Lahore was the cultural capital of India at one point, and then somebody just draws a line in the middle,
exactly,
and then so many people are displaced,
exactly.
You know, and we let that happen to ourselves.
Yeah,
you know? As an Indian community, that's what happened.
Yeah, but wherever Britishers have gone, we Britishers, we are Britishers now. Wherever we've gone, we have drawn lines willy-nilly. Afghanistan, you name a country where there isn't a problem, partition. There was no need. And they just drew the line because they were in a hurry to leave India and get out. And that was the main reason.
Or do you think there was other kind of thought behind it? Was that if we draw a line that they'll be fighting with each other for a long time?
Yeah, they didn't care
kind of
because the Muslims wanted their own independent country, so they didn't care. Right, we are going, do whatever you like. So minorities, like the Sikh minority, has suffered, and they're still suffering. There's no such thing that we got equality.
We'll talk about your work that you're doing as well to help that.
They're still suffering. So that's when my husband came to India, we got married, we came back here, I started teaching. And then from teaching, I became a head teacher as well. And when I was a head teacher, the Act of Parliament, 1988 Act was passed saying that the majority is Christian, but we will take into account the pupil's background. And that was our chance when we said, yes, we should be taught, other religions should be taught. And funny enough, I was representing inspectors, not Sikhs. And the people who were sitting there discussing this, there wasn't a single Sikh. They were all sort of saying, yes, there is Christianity, there is Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, no mention of Sikhism, till I had to stand up and speak. And they were saying, oh, no. I said, no, at that time we were the 3rd largest population, Sikh population. We thought we were
but I think it was very good,
Hindus.
you know, very good for you to do that, because otherwise somebody would have said, oh, don't worry about it, we'll do it in passing, or it comes under something else.
Exactly, and that was the reason I'm very pleased that the Guru gave me the chance, because we put Sikhism on the map as a world religion. Even in India, they're not saying Sikhism a world religion. And from there onward, because they approved, but there were no books.
I was just going to say that I mean, you know, you've written quite a few books, haven't you? But there has been no real material. You've started from scratch, really.
Start from scratch. I wrote books right from age 3 to GCSE. And then I wrote for teachers as well, how to teach GCSE. Then I promoted. There wasn't any GCSE in Sikhism. There was GCSE in other religions. So I promoted that, going to the Gurdwaras, going to Sikh schools. Now all our Sikh schools teach GCSE in Sikhism. But still, not many Gurdwaras still do it. It's the parents don't put any pressure, I'm afraid. And if they don't put any pressure, we cannot be very successful there. So from there, we got all the Sikh schools, network of Sikh organizations got 7 different projects. One is the Sikh school. So there are 11 Sikh schools. By the Act of Parliament, we are the endorsing body, and we inspect them according to Section 40 is called Sikhism. So making sure the Sikhism is taught properly in those schools as well. I helped very much with the prison chaplaincy. All the Sikhs were in the prison. We started about 30 years ago before, actually it was more after 1984 when there were a lot of Sikhs as Sikh prisoners went into the, and there was nobody to look after them. And there was a lot of conversions to other religions. Now I'm happy to say that we stopped that, and our Sikh prisoners who go there, I'm very happy to say they are not reoffending, because it was news yesterday that there are lots of reoffending and the £40,000 each prisoner cost. And we are very happy to say that once prisoners come out, because of the guidance, the spiritual guidance on Sikhism is given, nobody is reoffending. Then we got armed forces chaplaincy as well. So there are not many, but 250 Sikhs in armed forces. So we make sure we look to their needs as well. And we've been having dialogues with government as well, that if they need to wear masks, they've got to wear them on beards. They don't have to shave this. If the Indian government has got systems, you get it from them, or American government has got. So we're making sure the Sikhs are not being bullied or harassed or anything like that they can practice their religion in peace. We got interfaith dialogue. I think Indrajit started the interfaith dialogue because of Guru Nanak. He followed the Guru's teaching, and he started this interfaith dialogue. And we got human rights. Guru Hargobind's Bandi Chhod is a good example of standing up for human rights. Guru Tegh Bahadur, a very good example for standing up for Hindu community. So we got that as well, and we don't discriminate against any religion.
Do you think that in terms of, like, you put a syllabus together, and there are supporting materials. How much do you think that has an influence on kids? Because I used to do some work for Interfaith Youth Trust. We used to put some money together, and we always found that if kids got together and they learnt about each other's religions, they actually kind of got more enriched about their own religion, but also they were in a way appreciating each other and discriminating less. Yeah. Do you think that's your inspiration behind doing this? The fact that if they do know more about their own religion, because Sikhs don't teach people to be respectful of others. Do you think other people are respectful of Sikhs?
That's right, because teaching of a religion not only strengthens their own commitment, strengthens their own understanding, but less prejudice. When the Sikh children and the other children are in schools together, they grow up together, there isn't a prejudice, and they understand. Many times, actually my grandson came and said, this boy pulled my jura, and I said, why didn't you report? He said, why should I report? He's my friend. And I said, why did you pull your... Oh, that was an accident. And he said, sorry. And he was tying his patka, English friend, tying his patka. Because understand that. He came home with a friend who stayed for the night, and he went to have a bath. He said, oh, you got your patka on. It'll get wet. Let me take it off. So it becomes a part of life. And when they grow up and they go into businesses, on job professions and all, they can support each other.
Do you think that we were more integrated as a society today than we were, say, 20, 30 years ago?
Of course.
Do you think that people interact more? And is that and do you think there's a generational thing in terms of, like, some of the people that my father came in the 50s, so the relationships that they have are more integrated today than they were in the past?
Right. Yeah, and I do feel that is part of teaching of Hari as well, religious education. All religions are taught. The idea is that by the time a child is 16 years old, has a working understanding, religious literacy about other religions. And problems in France for not letting turbans and letting anything else is that they don't understand each other's religion.
They do say that the multicultural model, the word that's used in the past, multiculturalism, I'm not sure how much it's used today, the multicultural model that's practiced in the United Kingdom versus the one in, places like France and others is so very different. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, because I more believe in multi-faith. I'm afraid, because we are integrating as far as the culture is concerned. We are speaking their language, we are eating the food, and that's a cultural thing. These are not religious things. It's the religion, when you understand each other's values, when they understand how Sikhism approaches equality of men and women, equality of all human beings. As the Guru says, there's only one human race and there's a race of human beings. That's much better way forward. We don't have to find that this is the culture, and of course we enjoy it and we keep it and we eat Indian food.
I agree with you. I think there is a distinction between culture and religion.
Right.
And I think what's interesting is that if you look at the number of Sikh charities there are in the UK, ones that do work internationally, whether it's Khalsa Aid or Sikh Aid, and there's ones that do work locally, there's SWAT that go out and feed the homeless on the streets, or the Midlands Seva. That's quite inspiring, isn't it? A lot of them are quite young kids as well, aren't they?
Yeah, that's very, very inspiring. So it's all avenues we got to explore. It's not just one thing. We got to produce a lot of literature. We do Sikh Messenger, which I've been
reading that.
And a member of the editorial board, and I'm the circulation manager. So we've been doing that from the last 1984. Pardon?
You're involved in a network of Sikh organisations.
Yeah, Sikh Messenger. Since 1984, we've been involved. We'd write it and we print it and produce it, and then lots of lectures, lots of speeches. I go and talk to other organizations. My husband goes as well. He's just been to United Nations to plead our case, Sikh case, and he's going, because he did so well, they invited him again to come and talk about it, because he doesn't talk about my religion only. My religion says all religions. But when you talk about all religions, doesn't mean you forget your religion. Because what I find is some people are very educated and say, oh, well, we treat all religions equally. I said, that's very good. But in that equality, don't forget your religion.
Tell me about the Global Sikh Council, because that's new, isn't it? Recently,
that's right. We are not very happy with what's going on in Punjab, with the government influence, the influence of RSS, and influence is harming the Sikh religion and harming the Sikh community. And people who are in power there, the Jathedars and others, they are not very enlightened, and they do what their masters tell them. Because of that, we've started a Global Sikh Council where the members from all over the world get together and say, these are the Sikh issues, how we can help each other in each other country. So to that. And I'm the vice chair of that Global Sikh Council. It's a new one. It's been only 3 years old. So far we've got 18, 19 countries members. It'll take time.
Do you think dialogue at that level between different Sikh leaders and people that come together helps to generate new ideas, or do you think it's just a talking shop?
No. Well, we thought we won't let it talking shop. I'm the only woman, by the way, in those 9.
Need more women in there.
There are 38 representatives from 19 countries, and I'm the only woman. So I'm hoping there's somebody else comes in as well, so that we have a stronger. So no, there is a talking shop. I have no time for that. So it's a doing shop. If you look at my own history, we've been doing this, we've done this, we've done this. In 1999, we celebrated the birth of the Khalsa, 300 years, very proudly, and that was the time we had the royalty, we had the political leaders. My husband Indrajit was dealing with that, and I was dealing with all the...
It was a very good event. I went to the one at Royal Albert Hall.
Thank you.
And Prince Charles came to that, didn't he?
That's right. And since then, Prince Charles had a Sikh, full Sikh Rup Sikh as his policeman. And since then, we had 2004 again, Prakash Utsav. Then we commemorated Guru Arjan Shahidi Din, 400 years in Trafalgar Square. And we had Sikhs outside Buckingham Palace. So we've been trying to reach where it matters, so they understand what Sikhism is. Now, being in the House of Lords now, I'm always going there for meetings and things.
That's your second home, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just over there.
That's right. That's right. So it's very important that we talk about Sikh religion. We don't just say, this is our Sikh Rup. Yes, good. But you got to talk about it, talk about the difficulties, make this government understand that we are here. When it happened in 1984, 30 years, Cameron spoke in the House of Commons, wasn't very helpful. My husband, we boycotted the Vaisakhi that year. We wouldn't go. It's pity that other people didn't. Modi came here, and my husband was invited. At least for 2 months, every week there was a telephone, because they felt it's a slap on his face that a Sikh lord isn't meeting him. And he says, no, I will want to talk to him about 1984 to build bridges. If he's got 5 minutes to talk to me, I will. He said, no, you can shake hands. He says, I'm not interested in shaking hands. I'm interested in doing something.
Yeah, and I think that's a really
suffering.
good point. And it's a wonderful message, is that it's, a lot of people talk, a lot of people kind of, just generally get around the houses, but they don't necessarily have a kind of a call to action to do something.
Exactly.
Right? So what is your call to action? What's the thing that inspires you? I know we spoke about your parents, but what is the thing that makes you get up in the morning and go, hey, I really need to do this? And if you had a message for people out there who wanted to be inspired to make a change, to make a difference, what would that be?
Well, see, my guru inspired me. Naam jopna, kirt karni. Now, kirt karni is working hard. And when I go, I'm inspector of schools. I go and inspect schools. When I go there, I'm working very hard. I'm the longest serving inspector, because I work very hard, because that's kirt karna. And that's my religion. I'm practicing my religion. I'll say my part in the morning and go there, and that's my, and then service. And that's the service we need to do. Service, most people will say, oh, they're not doing jobs and they're just doing service. No, service, you got to earn your living. That's how I feel. And service is in your free time. And the service is teaching people about religion, talking about religion, working in the Gurdwara. Anywhere you can help the Sikh community, anywhere. I have helped many of the Sikh community, getting lots and lots of schools, supporting those schools as well. So anywhere you can.
And I never want to forget mentioning, because we've known each other from before as well,
that's right,
with the Hemkund Symposium work that you've done.
Yeah.
And you were telling me about some of the work you've done for women's health as well, right?
Yeah. For 20 years I ran a Hemkund Symposium for young children, so that they learn history and they're inspired by our role models. There are all the history that's been there. That's the role models for us, and I'm proud to say that many young people have learned about history. Many, despite the parents cutting their hair, they've gone back to Sikh religion. They've gone back to Sikh Sroop, and they said, no, this is what our religion. So that's one thing that's really good. I was told by NHS that Asian women are getting fat and getting diabetes. So we've started yoga classes in Hemkund, and we have art classes as well. And we worked with Fit as a Fiddle. Age UK people to keep women over 60 healthy. And I'm proud to say there are about 50 women, over 80, even 70 people, women who couldn't walk. They're walking with frames and all. They're just walking quite on.
Becoming to be a bit more flexible and
that's right.
Stronger.
That's right. Looking at the diet, looking at the physique, and doing more exercise. And mental health as well. When they meet together, they talk to each other. There's no such thing as loneliness. And they're more active, more energetic, and they put all those energies within their life and their children's lives.
Absolutely. And I think the inspirational message that really comes out from talking to you is that there's still so much to do, isn't there? There
is a lot to do, and I have to say that every Sikh is a representative, is a Sikh representative, and they must. It's important to have Sikhi Sroop, but it's important to have Sikhi Sroop and Sikhi actions. It's the actions people see. The people respect Sikhi when they will see our actions, both. It's not just one, it's both, and only then. And there's so much to do that I always tell everybody, if nothing else, talk to your neighbor about your religion. Take to your next person who is working about your religion, so they know about the religion, and then we don't have to sit and say, oh, nobody understands us, oh, we are hit by mistaken identity. Why should we be? I think you go to Gurdwara Shepherd Bush as well. It's over 100 years old. If Sikhs been here over 100 years, my own husband was born and brought up here. Yeah. His father came as a
doctor.
I
saw the picture of him,
exactly.
1 year old in the 100-year Jatha book.
That's right. Yeah. So we've been here so long. Why still we are being mistaken?
It's true.
Why there's hate crime? Now, we're speaking about hate crime. That's another project at the moment we're taking on. That telling the government, now, hey, there is hate crime against us as well.
Absolutely.
you can't have just Jews and Muslims. What about the Sikhs as well?
Unfortunately,
so there's an
there is
ongoing,
so much to do. So much to do.
There's ongoing thing, and every Sikh's got to get up and do something.
Well, you know, I could do like 2 or 3 or even 10 programs with you. I really loved meeting you. I really appreciate your time, Dr. Kanwaljit Kaur. I really appreciate that very much. Unfortunately, that's the end of the show. Like I said, we could spend many more hours talking. There's so much more inspirational words that we could all go out and do something. Until next time, we look forward to your feedback. Info@SikhChannel TV. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.